First contact and underestimation. The grand conclave of the seven systems filled the cavernous chamber of the celestial spire, the gleaming superstructure orbiting the neutral world of Nexus Prime. Representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations gathered in tiered seating that spiraled upward into the artificial atmosphere. The chamber buzzed with anticipation as High Arbiter Vozarin, an ancient Mezrani with 4 sets of compound eyes and skin like polished obsidian, called the assembly to order. The matter before the conclave today, Vozarin announced, his voice amplified and translated simultaneously into hundreds of languages, concerns the disputed territory in Sector 9847, specifically the third planet of the Sol system. The holographic display in the center of the chamber shifted to show a blue-green world, small and unremarkable against the vastness of its galaxy. Earth, Vozarin continued, home to the species known as humans. A ripple of dismissive gestures swept through the gathering. From his elevated position, Commander Zirax of the Caladan Imperium flared his crimson crests in contempt. Why does this primitive world warrant our attention? Zirax demanded, his muscular frame tensing beneath his ceremonial armor. Their ships barely reach their own moon. They've only recently discovered quantum mechanics. They spend more resources on internal conflicts than advancement. Murmurs of agreement followed. The Caladan Imperium controlled 17 star systems and possessed technology that could reshape planetary crusts at will. The idea that humans deserved consideration seemed absurd to many. Admiral Lyris of the Terran Confederation rose next, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with patterns that conveyed skepticism and amusement simultaneously. The Imperium's assessment is correct, she said, gesturing toward the hologram. Our long-range scans show their defenses are rudimentary at best. Atmospheric fighters, a handful of orbital platforms, and ground-based missile systems with limited range. They are no threat to established spacefaring civilizations. The hologram shifted again, displaying technical readouts of Earth's weapon systems. Laughter echoed through the chamber as the specifications appeared. Chemical propellants, nuclear warheads, kinetic weapons that relied on physical projectiles rather than energy. I propose we designate Sol as a resource extraction zone, Zirax declared. The humans can be relocated to their 4th planet after terraforming. Their level of development doesn't warrant full diplomatic recognition. Before Vozarin could respond, an unexpected voice cut through the chamber. I object. All eyes turned toward the source. A humanoid figure in a simple gray uniform with no insignia or decorations. Ambassador Thalia Chen of Earth stood calmly at her podium, her presence so unremarkable that many delegates had forgotten she was even present. The conclave granted Earth observer status, Chen said evenly. That status includes the right to speak when our interests are directly addressed. Vozarin tilted his head slightly. The human representative is recognized. Commander Zirax huffed, his crests flattening in annoyance. What possible objection could you raise? Your world is centuries behind the technological baseline for full conclave membership. Chen smiled slightly. Is it? She pressed a control on her podium, and the central hologram shifted. Now it displayed a different set of technical specifications, ones that caused the chamber to fall silent. 6 months ago, a cloaked Terran scout ship entered our outer atmosphere, Chen said as the image showed the vessel in question. It employed what you consider top-tier stealth technology. We detected it within 30 seconds of entry. Admiral Lyris's bioluminescence flickered in patterns of shock and disbelief. Impossible, she hissed. Our cloaking technology is impenetrable to primitive sensors. Chen continued as if uninterrupted. 2 weeks later, a Caladan deep space probe attempted to establish a covert monitoring post on our moon. The hologram shifted again. We disabled it remotely before it could transmit any data. Commander Zirax rose to his full height, towering over his section of the chamber. These are fabrications. No pre-FTL civilization could possibly. Would you like us to return the probe? Chen asked mildly. We've kept it intact for study. The quantum entanglement transmitter was particularly interesting to our engineers. The chamber erupted in shocked discussions. High Arbiter Vozeran had to activate the sonic dampeners to restore order. Ambassador Chen Vozeran said carefully once silence had returned, "Are you claiming that Earth possesses technology beyond what your public infrastructure suggests?" "I'm stating a fact, Arbiter," Chen replied. "Humanity has learned to be cautious. Our first detected transmissions from deep space were not peaceful greetings, but rather military communications planning resource extraction from primitive worlds. We decided then that appearing less advanced than we truly are might be prudent." The hologram changed again, now showing a hidden facility built into the lunar far side. A massive complex housing what appeared to be energy weapons of unknown design. "We call this the Artemis platform," Chen explained. "One of several defensive installations we've constructed throughout our solar system over the past 50 years. We've been aware of galactic civilization for longer than you might imagine." Commander Zirax slammed his fist on his podium. "This changes nothing. Even if these defenses exist, they cannot stand against a proper battle fleet." Chen's expression remained calm. "Would you like to test that theory, Commander? The Imperium is welcome to try. But before you commit, you might want to ask why the Nocteri Collective hasn't attended a conclave in the past 30 years. A chill spread through the chamber. The Nocteri, a highly aggressive species known for conquest, had indeed vanished from galactic politics decades ago. Most assumed they had fallen to internal conflicts or resource depletion. Admiral Lyris's voice barely carried across the now silent chamber. "What are you saying, human?" "They sent a battle group to Sol 62 Earth years ago," Chen said quietly. "We returned one ship. The sole survivor was instructed to deliver a message. The Sol system is off limits." High Arbiter Vozeran's compound eyes narrowed as he studied Chen carefully. "Why reveal this now? If secrecy has served your species well, why disclose your capabilities before this assembly?" Chen's smile returned, but it held no warmth. "Because certain elements of the conclave seem determined to provoke a confrontation. We prefer to avoid unnecessary conflict. Consider this a diplomatic courtesy, a warning that the cost of aggression toward Earth would be higher than you assume." The holographic display shifted one final time, now showing footage from what appeared to be a battle in deep space. The recording quality was deliberately degraded, but it clearly showed Earth vessels, sleek, angular ships with peculiar propulsion systems, engaging a much larger alien fleet. The Earth ships moved with impossible agility, employing weapons that seemed to distort space itself around their targets. "This recording is heavily redacted," Chen noted, "but it should convey the essential point. Earth is not defenseless. We are not primitive. We simply choose not to broadcast our capabilities." Commander Zirax had fallen silent, his crimson crests now flat against his skull. Admiral Lyris's bioluminescence had shifted to patterns indicating deep concern. Throughout the chamber, representatives whispered urgently to one another. High Arbiter Vozeran finally broke the tense silence. "The conclave acknowledges Earth's statement. I propose we adjourn to consider this new information and reconvene in 3 cycles." As the delegates filed out, Chen remained at her podium, watching impassively. A Mezrani aide approached Vozeran and whispered something that caused all 4 sets of his compound eyes to widen slightly. "Ambassador Chen," Vozeran called across the emptying chamber. "One question, if you would indulge me." Chen inclined her head. "Of course, Arbiter. Our preliminary scans detected no quantum energy signatures from your planet. How is that possible if you possess the technology you claim?" Chen's smile widened fractionally. "We found that sometimes the most effective technological advancement isn't building something new. It's finding ways to hide what you've already built." Back on Earth, General Marcus Rivera stood in the Central Command complex deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching the conclave proceedings through a secure quantum link. Beside him, Defense Secretary Amara Wilson observed with quiet satisfaction. Chen played it perfectly, Wilson said. Just enough revelation to make them hesitate, not enough to show our full hand. Rivera nodded, his weathered face grim. The question is whether they'll back down or call our bluff. Wilson turned to face the massive tactical display that dominated the wall of the command center. It showed the positions of Earth's true defensive grid. Thousands of stealth satellites, automated defense platforms, and hidden bases throughout the solar system. The fruit of 7 decades of secret development since humanity first intercepted alien communications and realized the galaxy was not as welcoming as they had hoped. "It's not a bluff, General," Wilson said firmly. "And soon enough, they'll understand that. Humanity has been preparing for this moment since the Cold War. The stars won't be denied to us. Not by the Caladan, not by anyone." The battle and recognition. General Rivera hadn't slept in 36 hours. The tactical display before him had transformed from a static grid into a chaotic battlefield simulation. Caladan warships had crossed the Kuiper Belt boundary 12 hours ago. 7 massive dreadnoughts leading a flotilla of 70 smaller craft arranged in attack formation. "Status report," Rivera demanded, his voice sharp in the tense silence of the command center. Colonel Maya Patel, head of Earth's Orbital Defense Network, spoke without looking up from her console. "Caladan fleet maintaining present course and speed. Estimated arrival at Mars orbital perimeter in 73 minutes. All defense platforms are at combat readiness. Ghost fleet is in position, awaiting deployment orders." Defense Secretary Wilson entered the command center, accompanied by President Eleanor Santiago. The room's personnel snapped to attention, but the president waved them back to their duties. "Zirax couldn't help himself, could he?" Santiago observed, studying the tactical display. His pride wouldn't allow a primitive world to challenge the Imperium's superiority. Rivera nodded grimly. "The Caladan cultural framework doesn't permit retreat from an inferior force. Once Ambassador Chen revealed our defensive capabilities, this confrontation became inevitable." Wilson moved to the communications station. "Any response to our warning transmissions?" The communications officer shook her head. "They've received them, ma'am, but no acknowledgement. Their battle group continues to maintain emissions control protocols. If we hadn't known they were coming, we might have missed them entirely." President Santiago's expression hardened. "They believe this will be a swift demonstration of force. A primitive world taught its place in the galactic hierarchy." She turned to Rivera. "General, you have authorization to execute Battle Plan Thermopylae. Show them exactly what humanity is capable of." Rivera hesitated only briefly. "You understand that once we reveal our full capabilities, there's no going back. The entire conclave will know what we've been hiding." Santiago's gaze was unwavering. "Better they learn from a Caladan defeat than discover it themselves while attacking Earth directly. Make it happen, General." "Yes, Madam President." Rivera turned to Colonel Patel. "Deploy Ghost Fleet. Initiate Operation Lighthouse." Across the solar system, hidden installations hummed to life. In the asteroid belt, mining facilities transformed, shedding their industrial facades to reveal sleek weapon platforms. On Mars, dust storms parted as massive defense arrays rose from underground bunkers. And from Earth's moon, the true extent of the Artemis platform was finally revealed. Not a single base, but a network of interconnected weapons systems covering the entire lunar surface. Most significant was the Ghost Fleet, 200 unmanned combat vessels that had been concealed within the solar system's planets and moons, now activating and forming into attack formations. These ships, the pinnacle of human military technology, represented decades of reverse engineering alien technology combined with uniquely human innovations. Aboard the Caladan flagship Indomitable Fury, Commander Zirax watched the sensor data with mounting confusion. "What are these energy signatures?" he demanded, gesturing at the suddenly active screens. "Where did they come from?" His senior tactical officer, Vrak, studied the readings with growing alarm. "Commander, we're detecting hundreds of weapons platforms activating throughout the system. Their energy output exceeds our preliminary assessments by orders of magnitude." Zirax snarled, his crimson crests fully extended in battle rage. Impossible. Their technology is primitive. Chemical rockets and nuclear fission. They cannot have planetary defense systems of this scale. The human vessels are unlike anything in our database. Vrak continued, his voice tight with concern. They're using some form of gravitational manipulation for propulsion, and their weapons signatures are unfamiliar. It doesn't matter, Zirax declared, mandibles clicking with determination. The Imperium has never retreated from lesser species. Continue the advance. We will crush these defenses and make an example of these deceptive humans. The Caladan fleet accelerated, their massive engines flaring against the blackness of space. The first line of Earth's defenses, automated drone ships stationed near the orbit of Mars, moved to intercept. In Earth's command center, Rivera watched the engagement unfold with calculated precision. Initial contact in 5 seconds, Colonel Patil announced. Ghost fleet elements engaging as planned. On the tactical display, the two forces met. What should have been a brief, one-sided engagement immediately became something else entirely. The Earth drones, far smaller than the Caladan warships, moved with impossible agility, making course corrections that seemed to defy the laws of physics. What are we seeing? President Santiago asked, watching as the drones executed maneuvers that would have killed any human pilot. Inertial negation technology, Wilson explained, reverse-engineered from the Noctari vessel we captured. Combined with our AI tactical systems, it allows our unmanned craft to execute maneuvers no organic pilot could survive. The Caladan vessels fired their main weapons, massive plasma cannons designed to overwhelm enemy shields through brute force. But the Earth drones simply weren't where the shots were aimed, predicting and evading the attacks with millisecond precision. Then the drones returned fire. From each small craft, a barely visible distortion emerged, ripples in the fabric of space itself that propagated toward the Caladan ships. Where these ripples touched the alien vessels, catastrophic failures cascaded through their systems. Weapons went offline. Shields collapsed. Propulsion systems failed. Quantum disruption fields, Wilson said quietly. We discovered the principles when studying Terran communication technology. Their quantum entanglement transmitters gave us the key to manipulating subatomic particles at a distance. The Caladan fleet reeled from the assault, but still pressed forward. Zirax was no fool. He adapted quickly, changing formation to protect his larger vessels while deploying countermeasures against the drones. Phase 2, Rivera ordered. Colonel Patel nodded. Activating lighthouse. Throughout the solar system, precisely positioned satellites simultaneously activated powerful gravitational lensing systems. The effect was immediate and devastating. Every Caladan targeting system, every navigational computer, every sensor array was suddenly overwhelmed with contradictory data. Their advanced technology, dependent on precise measurements and calculations, became their greatest vulnerability. In the chaos, the main element of the Ghost Fleet struck. Unlike the diversionary drones, these were Earth's true warships, larger vessels with crews operating in conjunction with advanced AI systems. They emerged from concealment near Jupiter, having used the gas giant's magnetic field to mask their presence. The Earth warships didn't bother with conventional tactics. They targeted the Caladan flagship directly, bypassing the screen of smaller vessels through a series of short-range gravitational jumps. Another technology the humans had developed in secret, allowing limited teleportation through controlled space-time manipulation. On the indomitable Fury, Commander Zirax watched in horror as Earth vessels materialized within his fleet's defensive perimeter. Impossible, he roared as alarms blared across the bridge. No species has mastered tactical translocation. The energy requirements alone. His words died as the tactical officer's console exploded in a shower of sparks. Across the massive flagship, systems failed in cascading sequence. They're targeting our power distribution network, a junior officer reported, voice tight with fear. Some kind of directed quantum disruption. Our shields are collapsing. Zirax stared at the tactical display, watching as his proud fleet, the mightiest battle group in the Caladan Imperium, was systematically dismantled by a supposedly primitive species. In less than 30 minutes, what should have been a demonstration of Imperium might have become a humiliating defeat. With grim resolve, Zirax opened a communication channel to Earth. In the command center, Rivera received the incoming transmission with a nod of satisfaction. "Put it through," he ordered. Commander Zirax's alien features filled the main screen, his crimson crests now flat against his skull, a sign of submission in Caladan body language. "General Rivera," Zirax said formally, "the Caladan Imperium acknowledges the misunderstanding that has occurred here today." "Misunderstanding?" Rivera repeated, his tone dangerously calm. "You invaded our solar system with a battle fleet after our representative explicitly warned against such action. That seems quite deliberate, Commander." Zirax's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was embarrassment, a regrettable error in judgment. "I request a cessation of hostilities and permission to withdraw my remaining vessels." Rivera glanced at President Santiago, who gave a slight nod. "Granted," Rivera said, "but understand this, Commander. The next incursion into our system will not end with permission to withdraw. It will end with complete destruction of all hostile forces. Is that clear?" "Perfectly," Zirax replied, his alien features unreadable, but his tone unmistakably humbled. As the transmission ended, a cheer went up from the command center personnel. President Santiago raised a hand for silence. "This isn't a victory celebration," she said firmly. "This is the beginning of a new and dangerous era for humanity. Today we've revealed ourselves to the galaxy. There's no going back." 3 days later, Ambassador Thalia Chen stood once again before the Grand Conclave. The chamber was filled beyond capacity, with representatives from every spacefaring civilization in attendance. The dramatic defeat of the Caladan battle fleet had sent shockwaves through galactic society. High Arbiter Vozarin called the assembly to order, his compound eyes fixed on Chen. "The conclave recognizes Earth as a full member of the galactic community," he announced, his voice carrying throughout the vast chamber. "The evidence of your technological advancement is irrefutable." Chen inclined her head slightly. "Earth appreciates the recognition, Arbiter. However," Vozarin continued, "many among us have questions. How did a supposedly pre-FTL civilization develop technologies that even the eldest races have not mastered? The quantum disruption fields, the gravitational translocation, these are not incremental advances. They represent fundamental breakthroughs. Innovation born of necessity, Arbiter," Chen replied simply. "Humanity discovered early that we were small fish in a very large pond. We adapted accordingly." Admiral Lyris, her bioluminescence patterns still showing patterns of shock and unease, rose to speak. "The Terran Confederation acknowledges Earth's right to defend its territory," she said carefully. "But we must express concern about technologies that could destabilize galactic peace if widely deployed." Chen's expression remained neutral. "Earth has no imperial ambitions, Admiral. We developed these technologies for defense, not conquest. But make no mistake, we will continue to advance, to innovate, and to protect our interests." Throughout the chamber, the representatives of hundreds of worlds watched and listened, some with fear, some with respect, all with a new understanding that the galaxy had changed forever. "Humanity's path to the stars will not be blocked," Chen concluded. "We prefer cooperation to conflict. We offer friendship to those who extend the same. But to those who would threaten Earth or its people," she paused, looking directly at Commander Zirax, who sat in uncharacteristic silence, "we promise only one thing: you will regret it." As the conclave erupted in discussion, Chen stepped back from the podium. Earth had taken its place among the stars, not through conquest or intimidation, but through ingenuity, preparation, and the uniquely human capacity to turn disadvantage into opportunity. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.